This is the Haha Jokes So Funny Please podcast. We
Oh my
back.
gosh. What's up?
Hi.
How are your jokes? Are they funny? Please.
They're getting funnier. My thing was, I realized the other day, I was listening to some of my old stand-up stuff, and I'm like, this shit isn't funny. Like, if that anyone laughed is kind of an accident, you know? Like, a good accident, like, I'm grateful for it.
It's good to be honest with yourself. It's really hard for me to be honest with myself. I'm like, this is hilarious.
Like, it's actually not that hilarious. You just thought it was funny. And, like, a lot of times, too, I'd have my friends that would come out and see me, and I don't know if they were laughing because the joke was funny or because, oh, that's crazy, John Lewis is doing stand-up right now. You know what I mean? So
Friends are usually, I'm always too scared to do it in front of friends. But, like, there was that one guy last night that was in from Austin, and I think he bailed. It felt like he bailed after, like, 4 minutes, I would guess. But he had, like, 8 friends there, and they were just like, good job, dude. And I was like...
Well, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he obviously had some stuff that was pretty funny.
He was getting into it. I wish he would have just stuck with it. It's not like...
Yeah.
I mean, he was bombing, but, I mean, not as hard as... I mean, he was just, like, on par as everyone else.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I would agree. I think everybody had kind of
except for, like, Steven and Kendall.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, but they always kill, you
Yeah.
know? So, like, it wasn't even... Like, it was really... There were a couple guys up there that got up there and just, like... Man, they had a really difficult time. It was a tough crowd to work with, you know? But, I mean, we've done those shows before. I ate it at the last one, I felt like, you know?
Really? Yeah, I did too.
So, I mean, like, I know what it feels like to get up there and be like, oh, crap, like, this crowd is not, like, they're not into this at all, you know?
That was the first time I saw that Paul guy. Have you seen him before?
Yeah, Paul Ayes, I think. Yeah, he's come out before to a couple of the open mics, and so I'd seen him once or twice, but he was pretty funny. He had a huge Joe Rogan shirt on, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
He's like a big dude, so it was like the largest Joe Rogan face ever on a shirt. It's like massive.
It was like the size of like 3 basketballs.
I think he had a joke that I told at work today. But the joke, I think there was a punchline to the joke that I missed. But he wound up doing this thing where he got on stage and he said, "Y'all ever heard of a pickleback? It's where you have a shot of whiskey and then a shot of pickle juice. That's pretty weird, right?" And then he's like, "But I've been getting into it. I've been having them right and left." It was so funny because it was like, I don't know if this is like a crowd work thing or if this is like the joke is that picklebacks are weird, you know?
Yeah. I just realized that it's named after Nickelback, I think.
Is it really?
I would guess. Why else would it be called a pickleback?
Well, the dick thing I did in the show was I screamed a terrible band when he asked if anyone knew what a pickleback was.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but he didn't respond to it. I really wish he had.
I didn't pick up on that. I was sitting right next to you. All right, so when he said that, some girl was like, "Ew," when he said that. Gross.
That's funny. But Kendall had a really on night, though. He headlined, which... We're doing at that show now where we have, like, one dude who does, like, 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't realize it was till Kendall went on. But, like, I think it's kind of cool, though, because it gives people an opportunity to get more stage time, you know, the more consistent they are at it or whatever, you know?
Yeah. I don't think I saw anything new of Kendall's.
No, I didn't either. But, I mean, he had to do more crowd work type stuff, which I hadn't seen him in a situation where he has to, like... negotiate with people, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it was a tough crowd because they would keep saying things, you know, or like they're being like very involved, I guess.
Yeah, they were just talking. It was background noise, which is fine.
Yeah.
If I went to a bar and not to see comedy and there was comedy, I'd probably not take it seriously either.
Right. I mean, you're not gonna.
I don't blame them.
Right. You're not gonna conform yourself to.
A lot of the comedians were like yelling at girls, like "Shut up!" And girls were like, we can leave.
No,
like
Miguel got up there and he said, "I expected the audience to be smarter."
Yeah, I was like,
it's like, oh
geez.
Shit, this is getting real.
Yeah. He's up.
He's gonna fight him, man. Miguel's a fighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I
was just kind of whenever people would kind of do that, I would just kind of put my head like that, put my head down. Like,
confrontation's a tough thing.
Yeah.
It's really tricky. I like doing a little bit of like confrontation, you know, but like you gotta like be willing to shut people down. You gotta say something that's so funny that like the rest of the crowd goes, "Oh," you know, and then everyone just shuts up.
I've just been powering through it. I've just been ignoring anything.
I just like to curl up in a ball and
Yeah.
hold the microphone like this and say, "You're right.
Yeah. I give up.
I am a hack."
Yeah. Yeah, I just give up on stage and start crying. Yeah, that's my.
You're right. I should keep my day job.
Yeah. But me and Steven, did I tell you me and Steven have been hanging out for start at 3? We started hanging out at 3 p.m.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So we had been drinking for 5 hours before the show started.
How was that?
It was fun.
Yeah.
He kicked my ass in darts in the back room. There's a dartboard.
Nice.
And we watched the Saints and Panthers game because they're in the Falcons division, and they were both 7-4 or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget who won, but just hanging out. And then he had a friend that killed himself, and he was kind of upset.
Oh, yeah.
I texted him. I was like, "Hope's everything good?" And he didn't text me back.
A lot of people in town knew that girl. It was really hard.
Did you know her, or did you know people that knew her?
I knew lots of people who knew her. So that's my brother runs in the crowd that she ran in. So it's lots of mutual friends type of deal, So, but I didn't know her personally at all. But that's really difficult. And she was young too, so that really.
And she had a kid.
Oh, did she really?
I think so.
Man, that's so sad.
That's the worst.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers.
R.I.P. It must suck. I don't what do you do with the kid after that?
I don't know, man. I've had a couple suicides that were people who were close to me, right? But they didn't have families, so it was there wasn't this whole thing that goes along with it, I can't imagine. I had a cousin who took his life, almost a year ago, right? But he was a vet, and so there was some sort of
PTSD.
There was PTSD, and there felt there was some sort of resolution almost. You know what I mean? It wasn't a good thing by any stretch, but it also was kind of okay, it's understandable why this thing happened.
Yeah.
I think when that's someone who's young and doesn't struggle with PTSD or something, some other mental thing,
Comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's got to be really, really difficult. I had another friend, probably 4 or 5 years ago that took his life, and he'd been struggling with depression, and, his meds had been screwed up for a while. So, those make sense, you're oh, yeah, but, gosh, it's going to be so hard when you're dealing with something like that.
Yeah.
Can't even imagine.
I just worry about the kid, I guess. Hopefully he's got, a father or something like that he can live with.
Yeah, I mean, usually the grandparents step in during that
I guess
situation.
that's true. That too.
It's crazy, man. You had anyone close to you
commit
take their life?
suicide?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No one?
No, not really.
Have you watched anyone die?
Must be a Texas
an
thing.
old person die or anything?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Grandma, grandpa type of deal?
Yeah. That's no fun.
Yeah, those are difficult.
No bueno.
Oof. I was trying to explain what that was like the other day to somebody. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was my buddy Daniel. We were driving somewhere, and we were talking about it, and he's like, "Man, I watched someone pass away," and it was an old person, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I've seen 3 or 4 of those now. They're crazy."
You have a big family, right?
Yeah, a pretty large family, and then lots of old people in my family.
Yeah.
I had all but 2 great grandparents.
How many cousins do you have?
Oh, a ton. My dad's side.
On all sides, how many cousins?
All sides. We don't pull past 30 or 40.
That's so many.
But
Do you
it's
know?
still a
You
lot.
want to know how many total cousins I have?
How many?
2.
That's great.
I don't have a big family.
That's the American way right there.
Yeah.
But my family was super conservative and religious, and
Yeah.
so it's lots and lots and lots of Jesus babies, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, my mom was the only child, and my dad had 3 brothers, but only one of them had 2 kids.
Really?
So I only have 2 cousins.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really, really crazy. That's what's was it the smallest Christmas ever?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I grew up my grandparents lived out in the middle of the country, and so we'd go there, and there'd be it'd be going to school for us because we were homeschooled. So it's
Oh, yeah.
there, and it's
Wait,
wow.
so did you go to school with your cousins?
No, but it was that was the socializing there for a while.
Oh.
It was we knew one other girl that was homeschooled. There was one huge family that lived up the road from us that had 11 kids, and so we got to hang out with either of those kids, or it was we were hanging out at my family's house during some sort of holiday type thing. And so, but that was our socializing was family.
What kind of stuff did you learn in homeschool?
Oh, all sorts of stuff, dude.
Did you count Jesus's breads? Is that?
I mean, we
How
did.
you did multiplication?
I learned to skip count through Jesus songs. I literally did. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Let me think here.
If Jesus had 3 breads and 5 fishes,
No, it was skip counting. So we'd have songs like 7, 14, 21, 28.
Jesus made these numbers. They're really great.
They're really great. But it would be like some Jesus-related lyric, you know? And it'd be like, Samuel laid out in the field and counted all the stars, you know? And it was almost Mormonism, but like not quite, you know? Yeah. Like Mormonism, but like no planets.
Yeah. That reminds me of VeggieTales. I think we already talked about this on the podcast, but that's like a Christian thing. I would always watch that when I was a kid.
VeggieTales is the shit, man.
Yeah.
Larry's the bomb. He's still the coolest, man. Larry's still the coolest.
Yeah. They would always do like manger stories and stuff like that. Noah's Ark.
All of them, dude.
Cain and Abel.
Jonah and the Whale, that was the big one. I remember when Jonah and the Whale came out, it was literally like an event in the homeschool community. It was like everybody was like, holy shit, we are going to go out there, we're going to like bring all of our Jesus swag, we're going to hang out in front of the movie theater, buy tickets, you know? They were all over it. It was like a big event for them.
Like, there's so many like overly done, hacky Bible stories like Noah's Ark and stuff like that, and there's like, I still don't even know what Samson and Delilah is. Like, there's so many Bible stories that
You don't know it.
I have no idea what.
You don't know the story of Samson and Delilah?
I have no idea what the Book of Titus is about. Like, I don't know. Like,
Philemon's the interesting one. There's a bunch of weird.
What is Philemon?
Philemon is the story of a slave who ran away, right? And Paul writes to the slave, the master of the slave.
Are these like slaves in Egypt, I guess?
No, these are slaves in like Greece. So like Greece, Turkey, that kind of area. So this dude named Philemon, he owns this slave, and the slave runs off, and he comes to Paul, and Paul converts him, and Paul's like, okay, like, they're going to try and chase you down, and we don't want you causing trouble for the church, so you need to, like, go back. And so he's writing this letter to Philemon, basically saying, hey, don't be, like, a dick to this guy when he comes back. So that's the crux of
That's the story?
That's the story. That's the letter.
That's a terrible story.
Well, it's not a story, necessarily. It's just the letter. That's how the letter is, you know?
Jeez.
It's crazy. I remember I was listening to one guy one time explain it, and because, like, I mean, it's obviously, it's talking about slavery in this thing, you know? And you're like, how could there be any justifiable, like, explanation for it?
Like, listen,
and
this whole slavery thing's a headache.
Look, dude, I don't think it's cool that you're a slave, but like this is gonna cause some major trouble for us if you don't come back.
Yeah,
you know?
You just take this rosary, get out of here. Blessings be upon thee. Good luck.
Imagine.
Good luck. Jesus will protect you in the fields.
There's some crazy ones, dude. There's some really weird.
So wait,
stories
so those are Paul's letters?
Yeah, it was Paul.
And what book is that? Book of
Philemon, the book of Philemon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, all that jazz.
Okay.
I had to memorize that in the presidents as a kid. So, you know, it's God, and then...
Who's your favorite president? Poetry. You want a trivia question?
Shit, that's fun. Let's play that. What's your favorite president?
Who was president at the turn of the 20th century?
Ooh, Grover Cleveland?
No.
Damn, who?
Well, it's a trick question. You're supposed to say McKinley because he was president in like 1900, but the turn of the 20th century is actually 1901. You know what I'm talking about? Remember that?
Okay.
So the answer is Teddy Roosevelt.
Damn.
I think Grover Cleveland was directly before.
Okay.
McKinley.
I thought it was somewhere in that area.
He did it twice, right?
McKinley was the dude. McKinley was the one that like...
He was assassinated.
Yeah, but he was the one that like the fucking corporations paid basically to like, and this isn't even conspiracy theory, like
probably
he's the one that was like backed by like Carnegie and Rockefeller.
Yeah,
and like he was like, and then like some communist dude shot him.
Yeah, I think he was like the last president of the Gilded Age, and he was known for that and known for being like an imperialist. Like was really into that. Like I think under him like we got like the Philippines and.
Oh damn.
Cuba, I think, like all that.
Wait, I thought the Philippines was Teddy Roosevelt's thing, right? Because he killed like all the Filipino dudes.
Maybe he started it, or maybe McKinley started, but I know it was like around there. I don't know. That's when American imperialism was like.
Dog, you know it's bad when you can't keep up with which president killed which people groups. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Like, is that the one that fucked up all those Native Americans?
Yeah.
No, that was Jackson.
That was a lot of them.
That was actually every one of them.
Yeah. We're still doing that.
We're still on it, man. Keystone, man, all the way.
Do you know how Teddy Roosevelt got to be president?
What, like, elected?
Because, well, he wasn't elected.
I watched the Ken Burns documentary on the Roosevelt's. He was the vice president.
Right.
And then
But
Kinley
do you know
got
why
shot.
do you know why he was vice president?
No.
I guess you might know if they.
I watched the Ken Burns documentary,
But
but I don't remember.
Because he was like the first progressive president, like trust buster kind of guy.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Rein the banks in.
yeah. So like they hated him. So they were like, he was like messing up their money. So I forget. I think he was like, I knew he was New York police commissioner at some point, but I think maybe he was like I don't know.
Well, the big deal was he was in New York, like busting up corrupt cops,
Yeah.
right? Like that was his shtick.
So they appointed him vice president, or like they put him on the ticket to like get him out of there.
Oh, because like the vice president doesn't do shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
And then he became president.
That shit backfired like crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
No
that's
pun intended.
unreal.
Front fired.
Damn.
Yeah,
dude.
I believe his assassin was called like Leon Schlosle or something like that. His name was like CZONLEGZ, something like that.
People wonder why. It's weird to think, like, I watched a documentary about World War I last night, and it's just crazy, like, how long the United States was like, nah, we're not gonna do anything.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of, there's a YouTube channel, there was like some controversy, like how YouTube recently changed the way they structure ads,
Oh, really?
and I think they like took a big hit.
Sure, H3 had something to say about that, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that.
I don't know what the deal is. Anytime there's controversy, that's the only time I see an H3 video.
Listen, here's our hot take on YouTube. H3H3.
Here's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's always there, and she never adds anything. It's literally him like, I'm not a misogynist. Look, my girlfriend.
Yeah, and then he talks like this.
Makes weird facial
Yeah.
gestures. We're not very kind to internet celebrities, are we?
No, but I mean, he's not kind to anyone, so I'm okay with that. If he heard this, he would like literally dox us and ruin our lives. So
I think that'd be great. The only thing you could do by doxing us would be make our podcast go up.
Yeah.
You literally couldn't hurt us. We need to bait Trump or somebody so that we really
Yeah.
shoot up in the numbers.
there was a comedian that came through here a couple of years ago that some people are friends with that I know. And he when Trump was running, he would make these fake tweets with Trump that would be like, Caleb Sinan's comedy is the worst I've ever heard. And he would give it like 20,000 retweets or maybe maybe like 2 million or something like that. And people, I guess because like people are like out of touch, like because he's been on like TV and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't believe Trump's saying that about you. And he's like, it's not.
It's not real, dude.
Yeah. People think like you've been on TV once and they're like, oh yeah, so you guys hang out.
Now.
Yeah.
Hey man, can you get me in touch with Kimmel?
Yeah.
That's not how this works. There's never like, the thing is now it doesn't seem like there's ever like the one breakthrough moment. Like we're never gonna be the Beatles on Carson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, holy shit, you're the biggest thing now. You know.
Because the audience is spread so thin now. I think it's easier to make it, but it's harder to make a living. Like I think it's easier to like what's so discouraging to me is like like Tom Segura and his wife Christina Pazitsky like so they've got their podcast together, Your Mom's House, which I think they could probably make a living from, or like
and her special, by the way, is absolutely amazing.
Mother
Holy
and Fairy is
shit.
good,
So good.
it's her first one too. It's good. But she's got her own podcast. I think they both have their own podcast, like separate from each other. I mean, all right, so she just put out like a good special. You said she's got a podcast with her husband. I mean, she's like a famous comedian. She's huge. Like someone that we could dream to be.
Yeah, like me.
And she's
huge like me.
Yeah, like you, yes, yeah.
It's hard being
hopefully
here.
she'll reach your level at some point. But
Right, well, we can't all have a podcast.
Yeah. So her podcast
Job building websites.
Her podcast only gets like 4,000 plays, and I'm just like,
wow, that's it?
Yeah, it just
Jeez
seems
Louise.
so much lower than it should be. You know what I mean? It's like if she gets 4,000,
fuck, I feel like we could get that.
Maybe not, because if that's what she's getting,
that's nuts,
I don't know.
dude.
Pretty
yeah,
crazy.
I mean, I think like the podcast I listen to that kind of like is inspiration for me is that Tiger Belly podcast, which is Bobby Lee's podcast, and that's a dude like his career was Mad TV, right, and then fuck ton of time doing stand up, and then like he looked around like in his mid-40s and was like, shit, I nothing has worked out for me. I do not have a career. doing anything. And so his girlfriend was like, well, you should start a podcast. And so just anything he would do, he plugged his podcast. And so now his podcast, like, he can sell ads and shit, you know, like, he's got a pretty good following on it because he's been plugging it for so long.
What's his podcast like?
It's like, it's just bullshitting. It's him sitting around with like 2 or 3 dudes just shooting the shit. He'll have like a celebrity comedian on sometimes, and they'll talk to them for a little while. And then at the end they do like an unhelpful advice segment where they get stuff in from listeners. And like, there was a dude, like last time on the podcast, they had a guy from New Mexico who sent in a letter, and it was like, hey, so I let my wife, we opened up our marriage, and so my wife went and slept with a couple of dudes. And like
That's
now,
a terrible idea.
Now, I can't satisfy her anymore.
Yeah.
And it was like, and Bobby Lou was like, well, no shit, it's done. Like, you're screwed, dude. Like, it's like she's figured out what she likes, and it's not you anymore. You know.
Did you ever watch Arrested Development?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
There's like, I always recommend open marriages for couples, and then it never works, but you know, it might work for us.
It might work for us.
It might work for us.
We might be the one that screams by.
Yeah.
I've never seen that work either. I had a friend that was in an open marriage, and it was like literally, it was like the step out the door. You know,
yeah.
It was like,
it always is. The thing about open marriages is that the woman always wins, because women can just get laid whenever they want. For the most part, like,
you know how hard a dude has to work for that.
Yeah, like you're not gonna win as a guy. You're not gonna, like, I don't know.
That's why Grindr is a thing.
Yeah.
If a dude wants to get laid as quickly as a woman does, Grindr. That's where you gotta go for that.
Yeah. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done? I downloaded Grindr once to see.
Yeah, I used to browse Grindr with a buddy because we'd just go into public places and it'd be like Home Depot, and there's 2 dudes that want to have sex right now walking around in Home Depot.
They're like
it's
buying light bulbs and trying to get some dick at the same time.
I'll blow you by the concrete.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
Yeah, the craziest thing about Grindr is, like, you can have, like, no name, no profile pic, just you just exist on Grindr, and within like in a minute you'll get like 8 people hit you up like,
how many
I'll suck your dick. That's the crazy thing, is that people, it's not like, hey, will you suck my dick? Like, as a guy, like, well, that's what you say to girls.
Yeah, sure.
It's dudes that's like, let me suck your dick, bro.
That's so weird.
I know.
It's so weird.
Pretty crazy. I don't know.
I think that I would be a really good gay guy if I didn't like chicks. Like, I think I'd be really good at it. Like, I feel like I like design. I like interior decoration. I like
You're thin,
wine.
Thin and neat. You have cats.
Yeah, like I'm a very metrosexual man. Like, I feel like I'd be really good at being gay. I just don't like.
I wish I was gay. I do. I do wish I was gay. I would totally be gay if it wasn't for me not being gay. Which I think is what you were just saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, why would you not?
Exactly.
Why would you not be like it's just you hang out, you watch football together.
Right.
Then go in the bedroom for a little bit.
It doesn't take long.
It's easy. It's
so
easy.
simple.
You don't have to go shoe shopping. Well, I guess you do.
Because they're both dudes, it's over in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any time at all to be gay.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, I would definitely be gay. I'm gonna pray to be gay.
Fucking laughing starting. Holy shit, that's funny.
But so that's what we did. Me and Steve hung out at Chili's for like 4 hours. We went to Bar PM.
Oh, you went to Chili's?
Yeah, we went to Chili's.
Nice.
Because this is right there. I was planning on going to Chili's and then walking, but he drove, so I just drove over.
He ran right over. My suggestion was giving head at a Chili's, and he just completely blew past it.
Oh, really?
No pun intended.
Mine was. I had 2 good ones. Mine was could two gaping buttholes press against each other and poop back and forth into each other?
And, I like a lot. Did you hear a response to that? It was Miguel's best thing. Miguel's best response.
Well, no, it was. I think it was Adam.
It was Adams. Yeah, it was Adams.
Like, yeah, you ever watch Fox News? That's funny. And then
I liked it a lot.
And then
visual.
And then what's the deal with diarrhea?
What's the deal? And then everyone impersonated Seinfeld for like 15 minutes.
We didn't stay around for to see who won. I wonder if one of mine won. I should text Caleb to see.
I don't know, man. That Bar PM's hoping it didn't.
Why?
Claim that drink.
I don't think he would have given it to me. I think it had to be an audience. I think he said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why would you give it away to a comedian?
Yeah.
Screw the comedians, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about this Michael Flynn stuff?
What do I think about it?
Yeah.
Gotten a pardon.
You think he's like
You know what's weird is like
bring
he's
the whole administration down, or is he like the in for Watergate, or
you know what's weird about it is that he's a Democrat. Do you know that?
no? I had no idea.
That's one of their defenses. It's like Michael Flynn, that dude's a Democrat.
Wow, no shit.
And he's like, yeah, he was hired by Obama, and he was.
Well, I mean, but Trump was a Democrat for like ever.
True.
Like Trump and Clinton were literally like the whole reason Trump was president because they're out golfing one day and Trump was like losing and he was like, "Well, fuck you. I'm gonna take the presidency away from your wife," and that's the whole reason he ran. They were golf buddies for forever.
Yeah,
there was like
true.
literally a 15-minute phone call that he had with Clinton right before he announced.
Yeah.
It's like it's crazy.
Is this true?
Yeah, this straight up happened. It was a big deal. I remember I listened to Rush Limbaugh like the day after, because I like to keep up with what my grandparents are doing. And like the day after like he announced that he was running, there was literally this thing where Rush Limbaugh had to come on air and be like, "Oh yeah, well we probably should talk about this. Trump did have a conversation with Clinton on the phone. Probably wasn't anything, and just moved on." But it was so funny. And that was when everyone in the Republican Party was like, maybe, like people were either outright rejecting it or were very, very tentative about it.
With like a month in, he was like leading in the polls.
Yeah. He came, I remember when the Iowa caucuses were finished because I was volunteering for like the Rand Paul campaign at the time, like making calls and shit.
Rand Paul 2012.
2012. Oh. So anyway, I was volunteering for him, and I thought, well, this is our night. We're gonna fucking do it. And then like the numbers came in, and like Rand Paul had like 3 votes, and then it was like everybody else, and then like I was like, holy shit, Trump almost won. Like Trump almost won the
Ted
fucking
Cruz won.
state because Ted Cruz won, right? And I was like, well, Ted Cruz has got this locked up. I was like, this is their boy. We're gonna swing hardcore far right wing, But then, like, New Hampshire rolled around and Trump just, like, sweeped. Like, he just cleaned house. Yeah. And then, like, as time went by, you're like, oh, shit. Well, Trump's
I forget what was after that. South Carolina and Nevada.
I think the big one was South Carolina, though, because, like, I think Trump won. And that was, like, the big deal was, like, holy shit. If Trump's winning South Carolina, like...
Yeah, because that's Lindsey Graham's state.
Yeah.
Maybe he might have dropped out at that time.
Lindsey Graham's weird because he's, like...
he's gay, right?
Is he really?
I mean, he's not out, but he's not married. He's like 50, and he talks like this. I mean, he's
he hates gay marriage too. Like,
I don't think he does.
I feel like he rails against it so much. He must be.
You know what's weird is like, whose seat he is in, his old seat, like the senator before him, Strom Thurmond, who's like known to be a staunch segregationist, who has a kid with a black woman. That ended up happening like.
I feel like that's the South's big thing. Is just like we really are pro all these things. We just can't admit it.
Yeah, but I'm like. Don't sue me, Lindsey Graham, but I think you're gay. I guess. All right. This is how
Lindsey Graham, look at it this way, okay? Yeah. You've got all the pieces.
Yeah.
Just try. Just like it's easy. Just try.
Yeah. When I think I googled like because he sounds super gay because he's like I can't believe Donald Trump. I'm like. And so I googled it, and first of all, he's like never been married or like had a girlfriend. I'm like red flag, and there's like rumors about it too. Like it's like I think it's like a known thing that everyone knows it.
I gotta look at a picture of Lindsey Graham and see like if he was attractive at one point.
I wonder if he was.
Like I wonder if he just couldn't get laid. Gee, Lindsey Graham.
And he could now. He's a senator.
He would. Well, he's not like He does look a little. He does look a little bit like.
I mean, he's old.
See his high school yearbook picture.
Did you ever?
Wow, there's Lindsey Graham in high school.
Do you remember how Ted Cruz won Iowa?
He wasn't. Holy shit! This is so funny.
Do you remember how Ted Cruz won Iowa? He looks pretty good.
Wow, yeah, he looks all right. How did Ted Cruz
win
Iowa? Yeah, that's him. No, it's not him. There's this picture of a young-looking Lindsey Graham wearing a nice sweater and a beanie. But there's no way this is him. It's supposed to be someone else.
John Strauss.
Yeah. That's got it, yeah.
But Ted Cruz told, like, a bunch of voters that, like, Ben Carson dropped out of the race. And so he took all Ben Carson's voters.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He sent out postcards, too. You remember when he did that? He sent out these fucking postcards, and it was like, there's a 99% chance so-and-so drops out of this race. If you don't vote for me. Was that the thing that he did with Ben Carson?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when like
Wow.
Ben Carson went back to his home in Florida, and then there's that like notorious video of him standing in front of a house talking to a reporter, and Ben Carson goes, "Oh, my luggage," and
Ben Carson's the funniest dude.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have that guy as president. He's like the
He's
craziest
fucking,
asshole ever.
he's fucking Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, which I love how they gave to a black guy.
No, it's the most racist thing ever.
Typical.
It's so funny. That cracks me up, man. I love that, like, Iowa was the only state that dude could win, and it was literally just by cheating his way out of it.
Yeah.
Like, and then when Trump came out and he said "Lion Ted," like, that was the end of it. It was like, because everyone knew that that guy had zero integrity.
He seems very slimy.
He is. He's a dick. Like, he was pretending that Ben Carson was dropping out. That guy's such a tool. As much as I hate Trump, we are so lucky that Ted Cruz did not become president.
I don't know if it's like my liberal bias, my triggers, but Ted Cruz and like Mike Pence just seems so disingenuous to me, and like a lot of conservatives are like, wow, they seem so real. Like I think Trump, you see what you get. You know what I mean? Like Ben Carson,
he's like a shitty person, but
Yeah.
at least you know.
Yeah,
he's a shitty person.
Lindsey Graham, aside from being in the closet, like when you're like funny, like Lindsey Graham is. I think Lindsey Graham's one of the funniest people in politics. I think he's hilarious. It's like Al Franken and Lindsey Graham, it's just there's something real about it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, but it's just like Mike Pence seems like there's like a microchip in the back of his head or something like that. It's like
something controlling.
It's like at what point did you start acting like that? You know what I mean? Like,
well, and you look at like other conservative dudes who are like religious conservatives, like a Mike Lee, right?
Yeah,
Who's
Mike Lee seems a real dude.
He seems normal.
Yeah.
Like he seems like someone you could be neighbors with.
Yes.
Who's not crazy.
Yeah.
Right? But then you look at Pence and you're like, holy shit, this dude looks insane. Like Ted Cruz, that guy looks fucking crazy.
And I went back to look at Mike Pence's radio show in Indiana because, you know, if you're like a radio personality, I was expecting like, hey, we get next caller, pew 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 pew, like. But
behind the silver EIB microphone.
Like the only thing that I could find of him was like saying, like it was like Memorial Day, and he just like gave a speech about the Pledge of Allegiance into the microphone. I was like, this is like the most Mike. People listen to this
so
on the
Mike
radio.
Lee. It's so funny. It's so Mike Pence. That's
And the crazy thing
hysterical.
is like he says he's like influenced by Rush Limbaugh, and I'm like, he's so different than Rush
Yeah.
Limbaugh. Like I think, I don't know. I think
don't know how
Rush
anyone-
Limbaugh is kind of shifty, but like. I don't know, like kind of like stab you with a rusty blade kind of shifty, not like
he looks like he's hustling. Like whenever you listen to Rush Limbaugh, you go, this dude has a fucking angle. Right? I know he has an angle. I'm not sure what it is yet, but he might give me a hint if I listen long enough.
Yeah.
And he's like entertaining to listen to. He's a
Yes,
good
and that's the thing, like,
broadcaster.
I think Rush Limbaugh's funny. I mean, like,
Yeah,
he's
sure.
politically incorrect, but I think
Well,
he's funny.
I think he's wrong about everything, but like
Yeah.
he's a good broadcaster. Like
Yes.
he's very entertaining, and it's like super high quality professional broadcasting.
You know what cracks me up? Right or left, when people say stuff like, well, these aren't my opinions, people. These are just the facts. I just say the facts. Like, that's all we do on this show.
The arbiter of truth.
Yeah. I'm just reporting the news here.
It's
Have
amazing.
you know
The balls. That's worse than saying this is my opinion.
Yeah.
That's worse.
it's just so funny how people always just spin the truth, and people do in like sports too. Like like I was listening to some guy yesterday. It was just like, well, I say what you will about me. I am the most objective person you'll ever meet. And I'm just like,
It's good.
that's you need to be at least.
I like that he gave us that
No,
caveat.
yeah.
Say what you will about me, so that we can say you're not the most objective person you've ever met.
Yeah.
This is like the moment you say that, you're not an objective person.
Say what you will about me, but the Patriots are the best team there's ever been.
Sports broadcasters. Those guys know. People who are on sports stations, they know that they have to get people to listen to them by saying just bullshit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They have to say
this is the hottest takes.
Buffalo Bills all the way this year.
Speaking of which, so Georgia's in the college football playoffs. We going. We gonna get a ring.
Excited for you. As a person who has teams that consecutively lose, I'm
Are
very
you a
excited
Texas Tech
for
fan?
you. Oh yeah, huge. Which we got a bowl game this year, which was big for us.
Yeah, I think I was with you when everyone was like losing their minds for going 6-6, and I was like,
it wasn't for going 6-6.
Congrats.
It was because we beat Texas.
I know.
Texas University, man. Like, it's a big deal. The Longhorns. Like, we fucked them up. That's huge. That's huge, man. The last time we did that was like, I don't remember. I'm not good at football. I'm better at soccer.
So I'll give you some. So I'll monologue this for you. So SEC football is probably like the best. I don't know how much you know. That's like probably the best football conference.
Yeah.
It was like complete. Like every national championship came from there from like 2006 to 2014, and then I think only like Ohio State and Clemson won in between there, and I think Auburn won in there again. But like also, so Georgia went to the SEC championship when I was there in 2011. So like there's like the SEC West and the SEC East. In the East, there's Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and then they added Missouri in 2012.
Yeah.
And in the West, there's Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State, Mississippi, Arkansas, someone else, and then they added Texas A&M in 2012. What am I missing? Oh, LSU.
You keep talking. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm not kidding. I'll be right back. You keep explaining this.
I'll talk to Daniela. So Georgia went there in 2011. So in order to go to the SEC championship game, you have to win out your division. Basically, just beat the East as much as possible. So we went 2011 and we played LSU, and we weren't going to win LSU. And we kind of kept up. It was all right. And then in 2012, we were like number 3, and Alabama went from the East, and they were like number 1. Like it was whoever won in that 2012 championship game was going to the national championship, and they would play Notre Dame, who's not a good team. So whoever basically won the SEC championship would have won the national championship. So I was there with the band, and that was the biggest game we had played in 30 years because we went to the national championship in like 82 and lost, but we won in 80. And so I was like super hyped. Those tickets were like $700, and I got paid to go there. And we lost, and like we were like on the 5-yard line and like ran out of time and lost. Like someone caught a pass, and like they were on the 5-yard line, and it just ticked down. The clock ticked down, and we lost. So that was like the most heartbreaking loss that I ever had. So we've been like meh since 2012. Like 2013, we were really good, but then we had like 8 guys break their ACLs. 2014, we had like a freshman quarterback. We had nobody. 2015, 2016, it's just been like okay. Like we've been going like 8-4. Got a new coach. We fired our coach for Mark Richt, who's at Miami now.
What did we fire him for?
We fired him because he was like 8-5. Like, all right, so like he was like a super Christian guy first and like a football guy second. He was just like super chill.
That probably doesn't fly in the deep south, does it?
I mean, a lot of people liked him for that. I mean, he's like a super nice guy, but he was like I mean, football was not his priority. Like he would hand out Bibles and stuff, and it's just like.
That's cool.
Can you care about football? He's
Jesus turned this game around.
He's like, I mean, it's like in the South, like it's like number one is God. Number 2 is family, number 3 is football.
Right.
And we were like, well, you're a football coach, so you kind of need.
Well, we actually decided number 1 is football.
Yeah. we can hire.
God's good. That's good for PR.
Yeah, we can hire a priest if you want, but if you want to be a football coach.
But you gotta coach football. Look, Jesus might help save your soul, but he's not going to save this season. Okay.
Yeah. So he started in 2001, Mark Richt, and went until 2015. And when he got fired, I was like, we probably shouldn't have fired him because we fired him like right after we beat our rival Georgia Tech. Like on the bus home, we were like, hey, listen, we don't want you here. And he's like, but I won. And they were like, shut up. But he got us like 3 SEC championships, like 01, 02, 05, and since then it was like we underperformed. Like in 08, we were the number 1 team in the nation. We had Matthew Stafford, who's quarterback for the Detroit Lions.
Oh, nice.
We had AJ Green, who's like number 1 receiver for a while. I don't know if he still is, but he was for a while, and he plays for the Bengals. We had Noshawn Marino, who was a really good back for the Broncos, but he kind of had injury problems. But I think he was like number 1 back for the Broncos for like a season.
Nice.
So we had like just an amazing team in 08 and like I think we went like 10-2 or like 9-3 that year. And then like 2012 like again choked at the SEC championship going into the national championship. So we cut them loose in 15 and then we hired Kirby Smart from Alabama. And 16 was like, okay, I think we went like 8-4 again. And then this year we were undefeated. We were like, I think we were like 10-0.
Mm-hmm.
And finally lost to Auburn. Get to the SEC championship game. We revenge Auburn.
Nice.
And so now we're in the playoffs.
Congratulations.
We play Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl.
Oh, God. It's going to be a tough game.
On January 1st. I
think OU or OSU?
OU.
Okay,
Oklahoma.
that's the real one.
Yeah. And then Alabama still got in somehow. Like they weren't in the SEC championship game. Roll Tide. But yeah.
Roll Tide and buy Tide. That's what I always say.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Tide, sponsors of the Red Tide.
Or
is it Orange Tide? What color is the tide?
Maroon.
Maroon Tide? Ugh. Maroon Lagoon Tide.
You gonna watch it with me?
Sure.
I think I'm gonna be on a plane. It's New Year's Day, but I think I'll be on a plane.
Well, if you're here, I'll watch it with you. Where are you going?
Where am I going?
Yeah.
Oh, home.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll be coming back then.
That's cool.
But yeah, I
can't believe it. I'll be home for Christmas.
Yeah, I'll be home for Christmas. My family's leaving. Like I was like, I told everyone I'll be home, and they were like, "Oh, we're not gonna be there." And I was like, "So I'm just gonna be by myself." I'm like, "Yeah." Like,
and you're still going?
I bought a plane ticket already, and I was like, "Hey,
what the fuck are you gonna do?
Go to comedy shows."
Oh my god, dude, that's I don't know, sad as fuck.
I've got plenty of friends there.
You better, dude.
Yeah.
Your fucking family's not gonna be there.
Yeah.
Damn, man, that's cold.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. They're like, "Oh, we're going to the beach. You want to come?" And I was like, "Not really."
Oh wow, I love people that have such inconsiderate parents.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, she did tell.
Where are they going? Myrtle Beach.
I think they usually go like on the inside of the Gulf. Myrtle Beach is on. Yeah, that's South Carolina.
Oh, I don't know.
They usually go to.
It seems like a deep south thing
to
do. Go to Myrtle Beach.
It is, but they usually go to like Panama City Beach, like on the inside of the Gulf.
Sexy.
Florida. Or like
Sounds cool.
Floribama.
I forget that's a thing. I forget they share like that fucking deal there.
That's where we spring break, baby. Gulf Shores.
What?
Have you? I think that's where it's filmed too.
That's
but do you know what I'm talking about?
The Gulf Shores, like, is it a movie or a TV show?
They just started a new show. It's the Floribama Shore. It's like Jersey Shore.
No.
But it's the Floribama Shore.
Oh my god.
Is
it like Party
it's
Down
fucking
South?
good.
Is it like Party Down South or whatever?
I never saw that, but it's fucking good. I haven't watched it, but like I've seen previews for it.
There was a show.
Because it's so accurate. Like you're like, oh, these people are like the exceptions. Like no, they're not.
They're the rule.
Yes.
That's really funny. I watched clips from Jersey Shore the other day, and I got so sad.
I think the people from Jersey Shore are the exceptions, right?
I don't know.
I don't think. Really?
Yeah, I really don't. I think that's a lot of people that are in Jersey, man. Like, I really think that it's kind of that way. Like, because you have so many, like, what happened here, right, is, like, New York said, fuck poor people, we're kicking you all out, right? So they kicked them all out, right, and they just shit them out in Jersey, right? So what they did...
Wait, how did they kick... Did they really do this? How did they kick...
Well, yeah, they gentrified the fucking place. You know how expensive it is to live there?
They kicked all the Italians out?
They kicked all the fucking Italians out. So they were like, if you were a tracksuit, fucking go to Jersey, right? So they kicked those fuckers out, right? The only people that could afford to stay were people who moved in. So, like, there's people who own fucking apartments in New York who literally don't live there. They just, like, have shit tons of money. They'll buy a fucking apartment there because they can afford it, and then they'll just live somewhere else. And then occasionally, like, well, I'll go stay at my apartment in New York, you know, and just fucking drop in. So, like, they've even done, like, rent control on these fucking apartments. So, like, there's, like, one guy I heard from, and, like, he has a fucking apartment, but he's, like, grandfathered into it, right? So, like, his mom lived there, and the law says because they live in this certain district that he can keep paying $500 a month, which is, like, nothing for rent in New York to, like, stay there. Yeah, but, like, anywhere that they didn't district that to, right, they just fucking kicked all the poor people out because they're like, well, you gotta pay the rent and you gotta leave. And so they're like, well, fuck it. I guess, Jersey looks alright. So all the poor people ship out to Jersey. So Jersey's
That's why
literally
Jersey
like...
sucks so bad.
It's like they sucked all the poor people out and they dumped them into Jersey. So there's no, like, it's not like there's this, like, nice steak with, like, marbling of fat through it. It's just like, here's your fat here, and here's your steak here. That's what they did. And, like, Jersey's the fucking fat. They just left them all there. It's a symbol of two things. How bad it is when you just let gentrification, like, rule everything, and you just kick everyone the fuck out that's poor, and also just how crazy it is when you just combine all of this poverty into, like, one fucking space, Even the people who make it out of Jersey that have money, right, they still leave with some of the insanity. It's like some dude that leaves fucking Arkansas.
It's like Scaramucci.
Yeah.
I guess he's from Long Island, but yeah.
Well, it's like people that have money that leave Arkansas. You know what I mean? Like, there's Arkansas doesn't leave them. You know what I mean?
Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, it's the Beverly Hillbillies, but Jersey Shore edition.
You know what's so crazy is when
You've seen that clip of Snooki, like, sitting in a refrigerator?
No.
Because her ass itches?
No.
Holy shit,
Maybe.
dude.
I vaguely remember that. But the funniest thing is, like, when I watch the Jersey Shore, it's like, it just seems so far from reality to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these people...
Well, snap back to reality. Up there goes gravity.
Exactly. Mom spaghetti.
Thanks.
And, just...
Tank reference.
Is that the same song? Yes, it is.
Sure Eminem references are dank.
So, I didn't realize... Like, it just seems unreal to me. But, like, then I watch Floribama Shore, and I'm just like...
Holy
this
shit.
is like a reality TV show. Like, this is real.
Life.
This is a documentary.
It's crazy, man.
It's true shit. I forget how we got on that.
I just went there. That's okay. What else did you want to talk about? Dump it on me.
Net neutrality. What's your position on net neutrality?
I don't know, dude. I can't trust anyone yet. I guess I'm against it because Reddit had a really cool loading icon on their website that, like, was real glitchy, and I was like, oh shit, my internet's real slow. And then it turns out it was just an ad. Like, they just made their icon load really slowly.
Wait, so you're for net neutrality then?
Okay, so explain it. If I'm for net neutrality, that means I don't want the companies running everything. Is that what that means?
Yes.
Okay, then and this is what I'm going to say.
See, this is bad because I wish you knew, because I
don't know anything about it.
I have the unpopular opinion of being against net neutrality.
Really? Okay, well, you explain. Like, you're the evangelist of being against net neutrality,
okay,
and you get to explain why.
Okay.
Everyone, listen up. I have a representative from the Koch brothers here to explain why net neutrality is a bad thing, and you all should be slaves. Go ahead.
So, first of all, just from a morality standpoint, all right, like, if you are like an Uber driver, you know what I mean? Like, and someone's acting a fool in your car.
Okay.
You should be able to kick them out, right? Like, it's your car. Or if someone,
sure.
like, this is your house, you can kick me out.
Sure, fuck that guy.
Yeah, yeah. Like, so, if the ISPs own these networks, I feel like it's their property. They should be able to do whatever they want with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It might not be in my best interest, but I think morally that's, like, the right... Like remember when everyone was really mad about...
Who can own the ISPs and the rivers? Who can own the mountains and the skies?
You remember when everyone was really mad about that guy getting dragged off of American Airlines?
Yeah, me.
Like 6 months ago, was that you? That Asian guy?
His scream was the best.
That was you in disguise.
He was screaming.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
No, I won't leave. But I was like...
And then it turned out he was a crazy pill popping, like...
Was he?
Yes, he was insane. Like, he was just like... He was literally, like, giving people drugs in exchange for them blowing him. Like, that was
What?
his thing.
I never heard that.
Yes. He was insane. He was doing, like, Percocets and shit. Like, he was nuts.
Wow. So, like, people freaked out about that. They're like, how can American Airlines do this? And I'm like, it's their plane. Like,
I did hate that guy. Like, he was loathable.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just like, it's their plane. Like, I mean, if they don't want you on their plane, like, because they gotta have pilots
Fuck you,
on, like,
it's their plane.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
And also, they didn't need government regulation because everyone was so pissed about it. They were just like, all right, we won't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Here's where it gets complicated. Is it's like the line gets really thin when you don't have a whole lot of companies. When it's like one or two companies, and they're like, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. And they're like, there is nowhere else, you know?
Yeah.
That's when the problem comes in, you know? And
Yeah.
sometimes if we have corporations that like cut the rules so that they're a monopoly, and then they're like, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. And like there isn't anywhere else because you fucked over all the competition.
Yeah, but
you
I
know?
think somewhere else will happen. I don't know. Like
Not if they keep writing fucking regulations and shit.
yeah,
man.
exactly.
It's
Like
crazy.
like that. Like I'm kind of for net neutrality just because there's so many regulations, so it's hard for ISPs to compete. So like that's hard for like new ones to start and compete that won't fuck shit up. But I don't know. But all right, another way to think of it is like what, because it's just like sending information.
Think about it this way. What if you own a bakery, Gaiman comes into your show and he says, I want you to bake me a dick cake. And then he says,
and then
"I
he takes
want
your
some-"
face and shoves it into the nuts. And you say,
And then
you
he
take
says,
this.
Unless you
And
do
he
it. And you
sets the
say,
Bible on
sir,
fire."
I'm a good Jesus-loving sir, and I'm not willing to
I don't
make
care.
a cake out of
I
a
don't
dong.
care. You make my cake. You make me my.
And then the Gaiman shoves your face into the nutsack.
I want you to write a Jesus verse on my dick cake.
It's literally, this is the narrative they always go to.
They're making me do this. But I'm fine with that too. Like I'm fine. I don't think we need.
It's great.
I don't think we need religious discrimination laws. Like if
Oh.
I don't think people should be forced to bake cakes. I don't care.
I don't give a shit either way. I think it's such a non-issue. Like that happened one time. And here's what, you know what it is? It's this. It's there. All these dudes that have this fucking money over in the corner, and they're like, here's two little things you can freak out about. Fucking trannies in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And like super religious people having to make dick cakes,
Yeah.
right? Freak out about that, people. It's moral chum. That's all it is. And so they throw these fucking bullshit out here, and then while you're distracted arguing over whether the fucking pastor of the First Lutheran Church has to bake a fucking cake with, you know, Jesus blowing a dude on it, they've got over here on the right, they're taking all the fucking money and moving it over into a bigger and bigger pile.
And then the Illuminati.
You haven't even heard yet.
But oh shit, what was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh, all right. So another way to think of net neutrality is like, it's just like
Devil's
thinking.
back.
It's just thinking, or it's just information, right? It's just sending information. So it's like,
Well, and information's like a human construct.
yeah, it's so like it would be like saying like you can't have priority mail. Like if you're like, okay, I have a kidney, I need to ship it to New York today.
Yeah.
The government says no, you can't do that because grandma needs to send her letter to her grandson.
At the same speed.
Like a kidney to New York is not the same as a grandson or like junk mail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, those are two different points of information that need to travel differently. Like FaceTime, that needs to travel quickly so it works effectively. You know what I mean?
Okay, I
like
get
you
that.
loading a Wikipedia page doesn't
It's
need
not as important as somebody
so
FaceTiming with their
so
fucking mom.
it doesn't allocate the resources effectively.
Gotcha.
But also there's tons of other regulations that make it like if there was an ISP that wants to squash Google, it's hard for another ISP to start, like just for example like getting permits to like hook up to cable poles, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
okay.
That's a whole
That's all regulated and shit.
yeah.
Huh?
So I think net neutrality is alright just because there's so many other regulations. But most of it's like there's other countries that don't have net neutrality regulations, right? Like so in Mexico they don't have net neutrality regulations, and it's not like there's some conspiracy involved where they block Facebook. It's mostly like Verizon has their own streaming service where they have music and movies, and Verizon says, hey, you can have unlimited data for music and movies for us. It's not like, it's more of like a net gain than a net positive, from what I can tell.
That makes sense. Yeah, I guess I get that side of it. I think people are freaking out because the internet's been like an equalizer. You know what I mean? So it's like you can.
Well, these rules have only been around for like 3 years, so
that's crazy.
it was like fine before. I think it's fine. I just think everyone's freaking out.
Well, now people are talking about.
I say we legalize weed first before we talk about internet.
Well, now people are talking about wanting to like regulate Bitcoin and shit, and I'm like, well, like
How can you even do that?
I don't know that you.
That's the whole point of Bitcoin, right?
Well, what they would do is they would regulate the companies that are converting it to dollars, basically.
Oh.
So you wouldn't be able to take it out of Bitcoin, right? But I think what would happen is that if you regulated that more companies would start just accepting Bitcoin. Like you'd have more and more people who would accept it just to not have to deal with the hassle of dealing with the regulations.
That's so crazy. Couldn't I didn't know companies do that. Couldn't I just like pay you to get Bitcoin? Couldn't like individuals do it? And banks?
No, well, okay, but like they would regulate it so that you couldn't get it that easily. So like
it's so stupid.
no, it really is bullshit. But it's
Why?
I mean,
Why?
Well,
Why?
because China just did this. China said no more Bitcoin. So they're like they clamped down on it. And like China's like the king of this, where they'll just go no more of this, and then it turns out the next day that they're the second largest producer of whatever X was, you know. So they said no more Bitcoin, and then an article came out literally the day afterwards that said, oh, by the way, China is the #1 producer of Bitcoin miners, you know. So they're producing all of this shit to make it happen. Like it's almost like the free market is too powerful for China. Like they can't control it anymore.
Believe it or not. I saw somewhere. I think it was like Steam, like you know that program.
Yeah, like gaming platform.
I want to say Steam, some program. I want to say it was that was using the like in their background like the computers to like mine bitcoins. Like so, if you had Steam running, you were mining bitcoins for Steam.
Whoa, that's crazy. Well, I thought one time I was like, wouldn't it be funny if you just ran an extension cord from like somebody else's house, like Homer Simpson style from Flanders' place, and you just run it over to your house and you plug in a bunch of bit miners to it, and you're just fucking sucking their power bill and converting it into your Bitcoin, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
You need like AC to cool down your house because you're running so many servers.
There's people who do it, man. In Venezuela, they've got price controlled electricity, and so now they have like massive amounts of Bitcoiners that go in there, and they're like, great, cheap fucking electricity for everyone. That's what happens when you have the government control the price of things,
right.
Is that you have people who just take advantage of it. So like all of these people who are just douchebags, they're like, yeah, we'll take advantage of this system, you know. They just get richer and richer and richer off of this free electricity that they convert into fucking Bitcoin, you know? It's crazy.
Venezuela's terrifying. That's like a failed state.
Yeah, man, it's fucking crazy. How do you take the world's largest oil reserves and turn it into no money? Like, how do you turn it into fucking over every person in the country?
Because A, government, and B, the price of oil crashed. I mean, I think the government made it worse, but I mean, way worse. But I mean, they would have been bad off without it because the price of oil halved and has been in half.
That dude's name is Duterte, right? Duterte?
In the Philippines.
That's the Philippines.
I don't know who's in. Hugo Chavez did Venezuela. He was like the one that expanded all the
the
social.
guy that followed Chavez. What was that guy's name?
Nicolas Maduro.
Maduro. Yeah, that's him. That guy is fucking nuts, dude. That's crazy.
I don't know if he's still around.
Well, it's just nuts. Like I was reading an article the other day about Hugo Chavez's fortune, and it's like all the money that these fucking asshole dictators just took out of these countries because they're not like it's not fair to say these are socialist nations, right?
No.
These are dictatorships,
Yeah.
right? That started out as socialist nations, right? And then they moved towards dictatorships, right? There are countries that don't do that, right? The Baltic nations have plenty of them, right? But a lot of times what happens is if you have like a group of people who the people have no power in the situation, and then they're like, well, help us out, and they give all the power over to like one dude, right? Mugabe's another example. What happens is they just like take advantage of the situation, and then like the people don't have any power to control it, you know? Like in the Baltic nations, you had people who had more power, like had more control over the situation, they were better informed and stuff. And then like socialism works out better in their situation because they found a better way to make it work, you know?
Yeah.
But in these like third world countries where they come in and sell them, that's it's crazy because it's like you're dealing with something that's so fucking sophisticated, and then you're
socialism or what?
Yeah, it's like it's a sophisticated system that has a lot of moving fucking intricate parts to it, and it requires a lot of fucking like voyeurism in order for it to fucking work. You know, you have to like not be thinking every second of the day about how you're gonna like I would take advantage of that system.
Yeah.
Anyone I know would probably.
That's
take
why
advantage of
I've
that
become
system.
like really cynical. That's what's led me to become like a libertarian. Is just because I'm like this shit's never gonna work.
Yeah, but that's my thing. Is like, is it libertarianism or is it me looking under the hood of my Prius and going, I don't understand this, so it can't happen. You know,
That's probably part of it too.
Or is it just me being an idiot? You know, because there are people who are smarter than me that I trust could probably make it work, but I don't think that they're stronger than me, and so I don't know that they would be in a position where they could make it work. You know, so but like I can't like look at fucking Denmark, Norway, and Sweden and be like, that shit doesn't work. Socialism's a failure 100% of the time. No, fuck you. Like those places do have like fucking like healthcare, you know, that's universal, and it works okay. You know, their countries are not in statistically massive amounts of debt compared to the United States.
Yeah, what is
their
with
economies
that?
aren't fucked, you know,
Why
because
are
they know
we-
how to make it work.
Why are we in debt all the time? Why do we keep on doing that?
Well, because we have corporations that suck off all of our money and they pour it into shit like the fucking military-industrial complex, or they suck it into a healthcare industry that feeds old people until they're like 140.
I just can't believe like no one just gives a fuck. Like the tax bill that just passed is gonna like add $2 trillion of debt.
No one
It's just
gives
like,
a shit. No one gives
How
a
does
shit.
no one care?
I don't know, man. It's like if you sit down and you look at your budget, which I've done before, and you go, we're fucked, right?
Yeah.
You like that leads to some changes, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're the United States. If you're the United States, you're like, well, I guess we can spend another $1 trillion. Like, here's a crazy. I read an article, and it was this nonpartisan group that examined the tax bill, and they said this bill is going to add $333 billion to the economy, but it's going to add $1 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years. And I was like, well, what the fuck? Why don't we just give $1 trillion to the economy? Why don't we just go into debt, say, here's $1 trillion, fucking Elon Musk, you get some of it, fucking Bill Gates, you get some of it, fucking ExxonMobil, you get some of it. You know what I mean? Like, Nestle, here's a portion for you.
So it's
Why don't
adding,
we just
it's
do that?
adding less to the economy than we're going
Yes,
into
then
debt.
we're going to debt for it.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
It's like, how do you even do that?
Like, I think it
Where
was
does the money go?
fucking Milton Friedman. Like, he said the best way to stimulate an economy is just to fly over it in a helicopter and throw money outside of the helicopter.
Yeah.
And just people pick up the money and spend it.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
said that. He said that as a joke, but like he did.
Did
said,
he really?
Yes, he
I
said
didn't know that.
He was being sarcastic, but like quantitative easing, the what the Fed did to help the Great Recession.
Yeah.
It's called helicopter money from that idea,
shit,
where it's
I
just
had no idea.
dumping
God, I'm such a dumbass.
money into it.
Wow. You're my fucking dumbass opinions. I want to start a podcast and it's called The Dumbass Libertarian Kind of. And it's just me giving my shitty opinions, having smart people on and just giving my shitty opinions on politics.
Yeah,
I can't ever get flustered around someone because if someone says something, I'd be like, well, you could be right. I don't know anything.
I know, that's how I am too. I don't know.
I get really opinionated about some things, but like that's not the thing I get opinionated
The only thing
about.
I know is
That I know
legalized weed.
nothing.
I'm pretty sure about.
Yeah, the weed thing
legalizing
seems
weed.
simple. Like,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen of the Haha Jokes So Funny Please podcast, listen to me for 1 second. There's no reason that weed should not be legal.
Yeah.
There's not one reason. We can talk about coke. We can talk about heroin. We can talk about fucking Percocets. I think we should talk about most fucking prescription drugs.
Yeah.
But marijuana, there's no reason.
If
there's
you think
no
about-
argument that makes sense for criminalizing weed.
If you think about the amount of money, all right, so like the amount of money it takes to run a prison, to keep someone in it, the productivity that you lose from people being in prison, the taxes that you lose from people being in prison, taxes that you have to collect to pay the prisoners to keep the lights running, to keep the courts going, lawyers, legal fees, to keep police patrolling, freaking HR for police departments, new tires for police cars, all of everything, like the amount of money that you're paying to lose economic, we're all paying like $800 a year to prevent like weed from being legal, and we lose money from it. Like we lose weed is supposed to be like a $40 billion industry. Like that's like bigger than corn.
It's huge.
Yeah, I don't know.
Huge, and we're not getting to suck any of it into the
Yeah.
tax system. Like, here's my pitch, right? If your goal, this is my pitch to the corporations of America. If your goal is to take money out of the economy and use it somewhere, weed's a great place to do it.
Yeah.
You could suck so much tax money out of weed and just pump it into whatever the fuck you want to. Offload it into some, I don't know how it works. I guess you stick money in papers in Panama. I don't know how that operates, you know? If you want to offshore it somewhere, just do it. Just legalize it. Offshore that money, y'all. Come on, 1%. Get with it.
I kind of get taxes.
If that's a thing. I don't know if that's a thing either.
I kind of get taxes where it's like, okay, maybe you have to collect taxes to invest in something that may give you like a return in investment later, like maybe like education.
Sure.
Or like the military, because if you don't have that, then
Maybe
your
people could
return
come
on
here and
investment.
fuck you up, sure.
Yeah. But like, it's like, what is the return on investment on like weed. Like
I don't know. That's one of those deals where I have no idea what that does for us at all. I don't get that. I don't get energy subsidies either. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Why subsidize? Like why are we subsidizing energy at all?
I wish we had a carbon tax, but until we don't, like I kind of get the energy subsidies, I guess. I'm talking
about energy subsidies. Like for instance, like Elon Musk tweeted out the other day, and he's like, "Fucking oil companies, fossil fuels get 10 times the amount of subsidies that green energies do right now."
Yeah.
Like that's great. Like why subsidize any of it?
I've tried to look into it. This is like kind of my nature, but I never like really understood it. Like some of it is a little misleading because I know some of it goes to like pollution controls or something like that. But I really don't. I really don't get it. Like I think people kind of consider their subsidies sometimes like tax breaks for drilling on federal lands. I really have no idea though. I don't
definitely
get it.
They consider tax breaks as being subsidies,
yeah.
right? Which they are in effect because if you're paying a lower tax rate than like an average person, then then you are necessarily being subsidized because you're given an advantage inside of the economy, right? But like I don't get like we do price control. Like in 2008, we dumped bukus of money into the economy so that the gas prices wouldn't go above like fucking $5.50 a gallon, right? So remember when gas prices were fucking crazy expensive?
Yeah.
We were working as hard as we could to keep gas prices low. But if we'd gone through that fucking thing, like in a natural environment, if we'd gone through that thing, think about the revolution we would have had in energy, where we could have fucking Teslas could have been everywhere by now if we just hadn't had done this thing.
I guess it's just politicians wanting to get reelected, right?
I guess so, man. I guess it looks bad to have people line up for gas.
And that's what makes me cynical, where it's just like these people keep on doing the wrong thing, like blowing up the deficit and giving subsidies where it's not supposed to. I'm just like that. Politicians are always going to want to be the person that's like, I want to give you money. I want in the Constitution where you can't make laws, like no laws.
Yeah, no more.
No laws.
I'm done.
We're done with laws. We're done.
That's my favorite thing is I talked to a guy one time and he was like, yeah, I'm a libertarian about this, and this. I'm like, but like, if we just say like libertarianism starting now, right? Think how fucked we would be if we just go completely free market starting now with all of the advantages that all of these people have piled up for themselves, right? Like, I think it would take forever to sort itself out. It would take so fucking long.
It might not ever.
There might be such a serious advantage. One thing that's cool though to think about is like, out of like the 1% or whatever, like the people who are perennially millionaires, 99% of those people lose their fortunes by the third generation. Huh. Old money doesn't fucking exist.
Because you can't like raise your kids rich.
No, you can't. You can't give them the thing that made you rich, and a huge stack of money can only last. You can only buy so many fucking cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You run out of it eventually.
What makes you rich is like being frugal and having like a good work ethic. If you're rich and you have everything that you want, like you can't have that.
We're just having fucking hustle, right? Like just like this weird how like I can look at people and be like, that dude just has no fucking like he could see $300 on the floor and would not stoop down to pick it up. I know people who wouldn't do that. You know, like they just have so little drive that's as far as they're gonna get in life. I know other people who just hustle all day and all night and like eventually something's gonna click and they'll work out, you know? But like the amount of people I know who don't have any sort of like drive, but that's what like successful people, they come from this thing where they're in the right place at the right time and they have the right set of genetic makeup to where they can fucking hustle and make that thing pan out, you know? But like the only guarantee is that if you don't try, you don't make it, you know? Like you gotta fucking try or it's not going to pan out at all.
I agree.
But like it's hard for me because like it's hard to say because somebody was born with no drive whatsoever, fuck them. You know what I mean? Because they were born with that thing, you know? Like, I don't know. And I don't know that, like, ambition is necessarily something that you cultivate, you know? I think it's to at least a certain degree something that you're born with, you know?
I don't know where mine came from. I think it was my parents. But I don't know. It's weird because it's like sometimes I want to go back in time and tell, like, my parents, like,
I wish we could turn back time, back to the good old days.
Mom was saying. But I just sometimes want to be like, why did my parents like get mad at me for getting a B on a spelling test in second grade? But then I'm like, well, you can't really dick off for 15 years and then turn it on in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
you kind of have to.
You kind of have to start out like hustling.
Like you have to balance being a helicopter parent and being hands off.
That's true, man. It's weird. Like the way my parenting was it was very like for the first like 14 years or so, it was extreme. Like they're very much like on top of us, riding us all the time, homeschooled, like on top of it. And then like my dad like quit farming and he went to go work as like an oil and gas landman, which means he was gone like all the time, right? And so like it became like almost like no parenting, like free range parenting, you know what I mean? So like it turned into this deal where it was like such strict parenting, and then it was like almost none, and then Dad would come home and whip things into shape, you know, and then leave for a while.
That kind of happened to me too. Like that was like when I graduated high school. Was like it was like I couldn't go anywhere without telling my mom something.
Really?
And then like as soon as I graduated high school, and I had like no idea how to function as a person.
Wow, crazy.
Like, good luck.
Peace out. That's
so
nuts.
So your dad was a farm. Why did he quit farming?
He ran out of water, and then like it's
How
just
you
hard
ran
to be
out
a
of water?
farmer, dude. Well, first of all, we lived like in Brownfield, Texas, which is like this.
Did you
this
sell the
tiny
farm?
Town. Yeah, they sold the farm and everything. Like I think he sold some of it to other family members, and so there's pieces of like the family land or whatever that's still owned by like the house I grew up in until I was like 8 or 9. Is still.
Where did y'all farm?
Like there's a place called.
Cotton.
Yeah, I mean we farmed like cotton, peanuts, you know, whatever.
Cotton peanuts.
Peanuts were the big thing. So we were like the big thing that we did was we did
Like Jimmy
organic
Carter.
peanuts, you know. So like that was a big deal, you know. And
I saw a comedian's joke that was like, "Why do organic peanuts cost more? Don't they do nothing to them?" Anyway.
Seems like that's really good. Seems like it would do more. It's so weird, but like the advantages you get from using chemicals, like it so greatly lowers the cost of doing shit, you know. But so we did that for a while, but like we moved to like further north of where we live in Lubbock to like try and grow there because there was water.
I was thinking this morning because you always give me these names like Muleshoe, and I'm just like,
it's
I'm like
names.
all these cities sound like fake city names.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
just like, I
bullshit.
grew up in Sally's butthole. I'm like, where? It's South by Southwest. I'm like, isn't that a movie?
Isn't that a fucking like like a that's so funny. Well, my favorite is Happy. There's a town called Happy, Texas, and the name of their football team is the Cowboys. So they have the Happy Cowboys that live there, which is just great. It's like the Brokeback Mountain jokes that you got as like a kid were insane.
Right.
It's awesome. So we moved there, and then like the economy for like farmers is just shit. So like we have this massive farm bill.
Because it's a real low margin or whatever, right? Like,
well, now it is. It used to not be that way. So what happened was in the 1930s, they passed a farm bill that said, okay, the Dust Bowl's happening, right? We have people who are literally starving in the middle of the country, and then people move to California and shit doesn't work out, i.e. the fucking grapes of wrath or whatever. So we need to start cutting farmers' checks, right? So FDR passed the first farm bill, and so they literally would just cut checks to people based off of like their needs, you know. So you could go in and be like, I have so many acres of like land or whatever, and they would like fund it, you know. And they started doing things like crop subsidies. So they would say, hey, if you farm X amount of grain, and if you bring it in, then we'll cut you a nice fat check for every like pound of grain or whatever, ton of grain, you know. So they started like subsidizing agriculture, right? Well, what wound up happening is that companies got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and like people who were in the industry got more and more powerful, and they could get closer to the people who were like figuring out how to cut these checks, and so they started screwing over all of the little guys who were getting these farm bills.
Right.
So the farm bill became
like
very,
Monsanto.
well, and Monsanto is like the smallest part of the problem. The biggest part, the bigger parts are like. One of the big things that screwed us over is it wasn't all like companies who like got in front of it, even though that was a big part of it. One of the biggest things is just like productivity went way up. Like we used to literally
Because it's easier to farm on big consolidated lands.
My
than smaller
great-grandfather
farms.
remembered the first time he met my great-grandmother, he was literally cutting wheat in a field with a scythe.
Right.
Like just fucking hacking things down from the root.
Like a fucking
like
Grim
a
Reaper.
fucking Russian. Yeah, like the Grim Reaper. So hacking shit up, you know, and then throwing it onto a cart that a donkey was pulling.
What
and
year
then
was
moving on
this?
to the next thing. This is in like the 20s and 30s, you know? Like
Wow, that's so crazy that it was still that technology then.
yeah.
Because the Industrial Revolution was like 50 years old at that point.
Well, yeah, but it hit the farms. Like, I think you got trucks and stuff out there, like in the 20s, 30s, 40s, you know, and then like the real agricultural revolution, like even when like tractors showed up out there, you know, like maybe the 30s and 40s, like first of all, the 30s were shit because it was like the Dust Bowl and the fucking Great Recession, right? So you were dealing with the Great Depression. The recession's 2008, right? The Depression. So you're dealing with all this shit, and so finally, when the economy recovers because of like World War II and stuff, you've got people who are like working out in these farms who are just now getting tractors, and the first tractors they got were like little 2-row like tractors that like they could cover a little more distance than a horse, but not much, you know. Like they weren't much better off than like having a horse and a plow, and then like as time went on, we started developing, you know, tractors that could do like 40, 50, 60 row. You know what I mean? Like they could do like ridiculous amounts of work in like no time at all. So if you do that, then like the amount of power that you need from people is like nil, you know? So we did away with that. And then the other thing that happened was when we started subsidizing shit, we immediately created this branch of people in like the, you know, the capital that just work for like ag companies who are like, hey, you should subsidize corn right now. Like, why are we subsidizing corn and putting it into fucking cars? Like, why are we doing that?
I don't know.
There's no fucking reason for it, except there's a shit ton of incentive for people to cut bills to corn growers.
Because Iowa's the first caucus, that's why.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's all sorts of fucking reasons for it, but like that's the biggest one. Is like there's all sorts of money that gets dumped in fucking agriculture. Yeah. Anyway, we're well over an hour into this deal.
Okay.
So
you want to cut it off?
Yeah, I guess it's probably time to kill it. Do we want to say something that's about comedy? Because this is a very politics-laden podcast.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Aren't you glad I didn't say banana?
Oh my gosh. I want to start.
I wrote that.
That's really good. I'm glad you did.
Wait.
I do love it when somebody goes up and they're like, this is my joke. And then you're like, that's not, you're a hack. Like, you stole this joke. This is not your joke.
I saw someone do this one. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Moo!
Oh. Combining two. You know that one?
No.
Interrupting cow? Oh,
yeah, well, okay, you're combining the two knock knock jokes.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were making another reference, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's like the best part of a joke is what? Timing. You just say it at an appropriate time. That's
Timing.
A joke. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Bye, everybody.
All right, bye.